know this was here. It's a Pentecost Sanctuary of Praise, a little Pentecostal church. So I know if you follow my vlog, I found that hurt cat. It actually turned out that cat had a certain kind of disease. And I've seen that cat a few times when I was on my jogging path right around here. And it turned out the cat was, it just looked like the cat was injured. I think it was right around in this area. Looks like they've got a white settlement Masonic lodge too, right here. Not too fancy, but they got a shed in the back. Gives me that Pee Wee Herman vibe, you know, but it's only one deer. You know, if you ever watch Pee Wee Herman or Pee Wee's Big Adventure, it's kind of like everything but the one deer. Hello? Hello? Looks like a no home, empty. So if you're familiar with door-to-door, everybody uses what's called Sales Rabbit. It's very popular, and it's weird because we get all these leads a couple times. This is like the third time it happened. I'm right by a base. It's like when I get there, the lead like disappears, but then another lead came up that was the same lead. So I must be doing something with the app where it looks like the lead kind of disappears. So I'm gonna have to like follow my movements with my hands and see what I'm doing to make it where it kind of like goes away. And then I don't get to disposition it. I'll have to talk to some of my sales team because I don't know what I'm doing. Well, this is my first time out on it, so I'm trying to figure out why it's kind of disappearing, and then I have to like search for it. I've got so many leads that it's hard to find, you know. It's like it's, you know, you hit on it to get the directions, okay? So then you get there, and then you have to disposition the lead, you know, if it's a not home empty or whatever, like that one. But I couldn't find it once I got back on. Saddle Hills Park. It's a golf course over that way. I think I figured out the whole thing on the Sales Rabbit. You have to you highlight it, and you have to keep it highlighted. It kind of gets larger, like it's a little circle, and then it shows up on there. I can't show you until later on when I get my professional camera. But I won't, you know, I probably won't be able to show it then, but you know what I'm talking about. All right, well, I do really appreciate the Sales Rabbit, and I'm not gonna get into like really detail about what I do. It's not like, you know, Pee Wee Herman says, you know, it's kind of James Bond stuff. It's not really that. It is security, but it's not like security guard kind of stuff. This is more like for sales and for home technology or smart home technology, things like that. That's all I'm going to say. But Sales Rabbit is used, and it's a great thing. And it looks like I might have to do like a part-time thing on this one. But we're going to switch over to DFW Horizons, and then the channel's doing pretty good. It's like 689, 690. Now, to someone that has 560,000 subscribers, you know, that's just that's really nothing. But to me, it's a big deal. So I think having 690 subscribers is a really big deal. I mean, to me it is. I don't know about you, but you know, you may have 1 million subscribers, and that's great too, you know. I think they're both good, you know. It's small-time subscribers and then guys that have 1 million subscribers, you know. But it took a while to get there, and it took some work. And we are dealing with traffic today. Look at this. Now, we're not as much, the heat's not as bad. We're only dealing with about 98 degrees Fahrenheit. But it looks like it's a little bit of a pile-up coming out of Fort Worth right now. It's a good thing I left a little early. Oh yeah, there's something going on there, tragic. First responders, that's what I call them. I always call them first responders or authority. because, people do have authority, to a certain degree, but in that class, in first responding, and a lot of those guys, I don't really think they probably do it for the money. It's just something that was in their nature or whatever. And I'm not against it or anything like that. I mean, the company I work for supports that kind of stuff. It's just, I have to put my own 2 cents in it because I do have the right to speak my mind. I am a little bit against policing the sick or policing people that are weak or something like that, because if they don't want to be bothered, it's not an emergency, they don't have to lead things. They need to study the patterns of a police officer if they lead things into arrest. And they did do this on Netflix on quotas, and that kind of stuff is wrong. I think they need to get rid of that through all the police departments. They don't need to focus on a quota. They're not a sales team. If they want to go out there and telemarket it, then let them do that. If they want to go out and do door-to-door, let them do that. It's a lot of fun. But I don't think that they should have some kind of quota, like an arrest quota, or they lose their license to be a cop or something. I think that's wrong. And Netflix covered something about New York cops that did that, and I think that's corrupt. I think it's corrupt. I'm gonna my own mind. My own mind, I'm gonna say I think it's corrupt. I think they should get rid of that. And I think they are. I think Biden's trying to reform the police and police departments where they don't have a quota, where they have to search out and look for something wrong, And that's prowling, that's patrolling, and I think that kind of thing can get out of hand. And that's the side that's bad. The good side is that they're first responders. If something happens, there's a fire, something weird at the mall, that they can show up and do something about it. I'm not against that. I'm not anti-police or anything like that, but I am I'm anti-policing, right? So meaning the active force of policing other people, I think, can get out of hand. Everybody feels the same, everybody's just on the same boat anyway. I mean, these commission-only jobs, of course, it's a type of job. And I always refer to Glenn Ross. It's a David Mamet play. It's one of my favorite movies. I should put it down as my top 20 movies. It's a great play. David Mamet's a genius. He's the best playwright since Eugene O'Neill. Now, there's a character named Shelley Levine. They call him Levine the Machine. And that's Jack Lemmon. One of his best roles ever, really, to be honest. I do movie reviews personally. You've got to see this movie. Glenn Ross, David Mamet. Alec Baldwin's best performance always. People quote him all the time. In the theater, everybody knows what's A.D.W.C, always be closing. Steak knives, Cadillac, I think it's a Cadillac, and your job. Everybody knows these lines, It's not exactly that way. There is some theater that they did, But things have changed since the 1980s. So I was talking to this other sales guy. He says they don't do it the same way they did in the 1980s. They've changed a little bit. And anyway, I gotta go. I'll talk to you all about it later. But see Glenn Ross, Alec Baldwin, Jack Lemmon, Al Pacino, everybody's in it. Ed Harris, Alan Arkin, everybody. So Linda does have a gift. She does speak in tongues, and she was speaking in tongues last night. It was late at night in bed, and she was speaking in tongues earlier on a phone call. And I've seen it done, and there is an interpreter. They have interpreters, and it's a part of the Pentecostal movement. It's a new movement in Christianity. It comes out of California, and it's part of the Pentecostal church. Now, they do have one very close to where we are. And we can go in and talk to the minister and explain that Linda has the gift. And I've seen it done. I've seen the church. I've seen Pentecostal church in action, and it's quite amazing. There's a lot of the Holy Spirit there. So we are going to plan maybe on a Sunday morning to go by the Pentecostal, and then I may talk to the minister and see if he would be okay if I included some of that in our show. Now, of course, if he's not, then that's fine. We can also just talk about it. And I may just do that the first few visits. We just talk about it. And then we could maybe strike up a Pentecostal documentary, because there's a lot of really good ones. One of them, I think, is Jesus Camp. There's a few of them. I'm not like a big diehard Pentecostal, but I have been around it. And I was almost baptized in the Pentecostal church. I was actually baptized in the Baptist church. But they certainly have the charisma of some of the Pentecostals, a little bit of it. They have a lot of charisma. They really do. And it's an amazing amount of charisma. Sometimes the charisma is so much that it's even hard to describe. But it's not like your average church at all. It's very different. And the Holy Spirit is not always describable. So the interpreter is there to understand and to interpret the tongue, the gift of the tongue. So it's a very interesting thing. I've seen it done, and it's life-changing. I wrote about it too in Escape from Maine, because there was a Pentecostal church up there in Newport, Maine, called Gateway Pentecostal, and they're a small little church. This one's a very small little church in White Settlement. It's a Pentecostal. I just saw the sign outside. Looks like something that we can go to and try to understand. Linda, I think she has that frequency. She can understand that kind of thing. And the Baptists sometimes are reserved. Like they don't even raise, they do. Now, I've seen in many Baptist churches where they will raise their hands. But my grandma was a diehard Baptist, and she didn't like that. They're reserved. So she just didn't like it. And that's her thing, you know. It's a very private, quiet thing with the Lord and the Baptist. It can be a very quiet thing. And they're sometimes a little shy about that kind of stuff. But the Pentecostals are not. They're not shy. They're just right there on it. And they tap into this Holy Spirit kind of thing. And you get around it a little bit, and you remember it. So it's a big thing. I wrote about a page or two of the book just describing this Pentecostal church, Newport church, Pentecostal in, well, no, it's not Newport Church, I'm sorry, it's Pentecostal, it's Gateway Pentecostal in Newport. But I did describe it as much as I could, because I think I did go there for a reason, a reason and everything. And there were several times I was going to go in and be baptized. It was just so foreign to me that it was just, like I said, it was very foreign to me. I just couldn't really, I could witness it, of course. I could witness it. And I did say hallelujah quite a bit of times. But for a Baptist, it's not necessarily comical. It's just like, what in the world, Like, what is this person doing? People were rolling around on the floor. They were running around in circles. They shake the tambourine. They really let out a joyful noise to the Lord. But speaking in tongues is not exactly a noise. It's actually a language, and they call it the language of the angels. Not that Kitty is an angel. It's just thought that was like a little nice little way to move right there to the ending of it right there. Time to pick up some gas. And we're under 100. We're about at 100. One thing though, wearing these types of socks right here, you get cheaters. Just walking around. So price right now went up to $3.59. It did get low to like $3.30, but they jumped it back up to $3.59. So. Home monitoring has been going on for quite a bit of time, but there's new add-ons that's new technology, like the doorbell camera, which was revolutionized by one of those Shark Tank guys that was selling the Ring, is what they call it. The problem with some of that is that it's not necessarily connected to proper monitoring. It's just basically like kind of, I'm not gonna say it's a gimmick. I'm not gonna say that completely. But if you don't have the cloud storage and things like that, it doesn't always work with insurance companies. Whenever you have professional monitoring, then it actually does work. And they can do stuff that's different type of monitoring. The cameras are higher end. They work better with the insurance companies, and they're monitored 24 hours a day. where you're just kind of like, you might as well just get them on your smartphone, you know, which is where it goes. It goes to your phone, and then it goes to a cloud storage. So it's a little, I'm not saying it's completely gimmicky. The guy made billions of dollars off Ring. I can't think of his name, but he was on Shark Tank. But I don't completely recommend it 100%. Because for one thing, a company that's professionally monitored is responsible for all of that footage, while Ring is not. Okay? Even if they do have a service, you don't know where it's going to and stuff like that. A lot of these companies that are dealing with doorbell cameras, they do have inbound call centers that are actually in the United States of America. Let's just put it that way. And I know for a fact, stealth monitoring, which happens out in Dallas, a lot of the businesses and a lot of companies use third parties to monitor, and they're even outside of the country, like the Philippines and things like that. Then that footage is brought to a group called Stealth Monitoring, where they edit some of it. Not that it's bad, but they edit it for the authorities to look over to see if it actually is a crime. Because a lot of things where, like, people may be taking a box off of a patio, maybe a flex guy, oops, wrong package, I've done it myself with Roadie, where you have to, oops, got to take this package and take it to the next one. That was the wrong address, Not that everyone is that way, but what I'm trying to say is that professional monitoring, all the guys do 24 hours a day is they're trained to monitor. And if you knew your footage was going off to the Philippines and then being watched by a foreign country, you were like, what in the world? I'm not saying that Ring does that. I don't really know. But I know stealth monitoring will admit that most of the businesses and stuff like that do that. Because there's just not enough eyes to see everything, So it's filtered through even like another country, and then they save money by reaching out to a third party in another country to monitor. And that's like businesses and stuff. I'm not saying this is what's going on in your personal home, whoever you may use. So the professional monitor, usually what it is it's within the United States. They know what they're doing. They can spot all that stuff way better than someone else. Oh yeah, what's cool is I kind of wanted to go to Terminal C. I might not, because A.D.W.C came through here on Terminal C. I think he landed like close to like Terminal 30. Terminal C30. And he did see some cool stuff. There was a grab and go gift shop where you basically put your credit card into this little thing and then you just walk in. I don't know how they charge, but he was kind of figuring, he didn't go through it. He just saw the outside of it. And then there was an Emmett Smith Cowboys shop that's on Terminal C too. So we might try to swing by to follow the footsteps of A.D.W.C on the other side of the terminal, because of course he's on the side where he lands from American Airlines flight, then jumps on another flight, and then flies off to San Francisco. It's like a layover thing. Don't know when he's coming back, but I'm kind of a Terminal E, but I may check out Terminal C if I have time. Terminal E is more like United and JetBlue, but Terminal C is probably mostly American Airlines. Same with Terminal A and probably a little bit of Terminal B. A, B, and C are probably dedicated more to American, while E is dedicated to offshoot, like, Alaskan Airlines would probably land in Terminal E, maybe. Not in all cases, but like Japanese Airlines and things like that. Like the Terminal E is more kind of like multicultural airlines, I guess you could say, like they're outside. And then of course United is on there too. So Not that there's anything wrong with it. I don't have anything against any of them, like Delta. I am a fan of American Airlines because my mom worked for American most of her life. You know, she was a rep. There's a cool little plane, like a little eagle flying over. I don't think you're gonna see it. He did talk a little bit about the Skylink. I don't think he covered the Skylink as much as he usually covered it, but he does like it because it reminds him a little bit of like a monorail kind of thing. He's a big Walt Disney fan, and so you can see this Skylink moving right here. I don't know for sure if it is a monorail. It might be. I haven't really noticed it. I have taken Skylink when we went out to California. We got to jump on Skylink and go on it. I think it was me and my wife and my 2 kids before the 3rd one came. And it's fun. It's kind of like a monorail, but you can't just ride on it. You have to have a ticket. You got to go through TSA. It does get you from one terminal to another, so it is a neat little thing. But I thought when I was looking at airports, I thought the Orlando MCO McCoy, the Orlando, Florida airport, I thought that looked really cool. It's got like these high. It almost looks like a hotel or something. There's really high ceilings, and it looks really cool. I saw it on the last Adam the Woo adventure where he left Orlando and then came through DFW. This was like August 13th on a Sunday, just recently. Haven't been back. It's been some time. I was away. If I would have known, I probably would have tried to vlog him from the outside through the window. But I figured he was going to do that here pretty soon, to go off and see Daphne, which he used to call Natalie. Natalie, a.k.a. Daphne, or Daphne, formerly known as Natalie Travels, now known as Daphne. But they're doing San Francisco stuff. I hope they do more room stuff. I think that was kind of funny. The last little room thing they did, that movie, The Room is Ridiculous. They did some filming locations of that. I thought it was hilarious. With Tommy Wiseau, or whatever his name is. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's some genius guy that advertised a low-budget movie that's god-awful, that got a lot of attention. Anyway. I feel like I've been away for a long time. Now I'm back. It's kind of a cool feeling. Okay, E7, we're right over that way. I noticed that someone must have been on a United flight. They left their Clean Plus sanitizing wipes right here. Well, I'll just leave it there for them. All right. So we kind of knocked off 2 birds in 1 stone. You can see they're actually already hooked up with some home monitoring, and I got to also talk to them about solar power too. They seem really excited. So it's a cool thing. Oops. Tell me the door's open. Oh, good thing I caught that. All right. What do you think about that, kitty? I just want to say, being a parent, which I am. I don't get to see my kids, but I'm still a parent. I'm a biological parent. And there may be a day when I get to meet my children as adults or young teenagers, hopefully either or. And at that time, when I meet them, I'm like, look, I didn't, hold you down when you were 7 years old and whip you too many times. You know what I mean? I don't have to go through that really, because if I meet them as adults, which I probably will, there's a good chance. I mean, I got a YouTube show, you guys are watching it, and I got Facebook, so there's a good chance I'm going to be able to meet them when they're older, and we could just meet almost kind of like peers, on the same level. You're an adult, I'm an adult, things happen. I can tell you my reasoning. I'm a John Bunyan fan. I think legalism is wrong. I think it's not the easy way out. I did not want to sue your mother. I did not want to take your mother to court. I did not want to be in the same courtroom as your mom. And I'm sorry. But I'm fighting for you in a different way. And I'm still telling your story. I still remember David. I still remember Elizabeth. I still remember you, Gwendolyn. And I got to talk to you the other day when you picked up the phone and handed it to your mom, and then your mom hung up the phone. I got to talk to you for a minute. And you sound very cute. So cute that I just want to cuddle you, And those things I still get to do on like a spiritual level. But then when I meet you and you're an adult, we can just sit down and say, okay, let's first start the conversation off with compassion. What would Jesus do? And if they're intelligent and have compassion, which that's where intelligent lies really, is it's in compassion, then we should have a great time. And I got a lot of catching up to do. Now that I'd rather do than what I do with my dad, and I hold it against him for the child abuse that I went through when I was younger, physical and mental, more mental. And that's hard to recover from, because you remember the stupid things that your parents tell you. And they do it. They all do it. It's in every single parenthood kind of thing. Good movie to watch, Parenthood, Steve Martin. And a bunch of other, Keanu Reeves in it. Joaquin Phoenix was called Lee Phoenix at the time. See, Parenthood is pretty good. I don't know if they deal with divorce, but I'm sure they kind of hint on it. But anyway, that's what I look forward to, seeing my children on a peer level, adults. So this basically was where I was going to work for stealth monitoring. And this is what I was talking about, how it comes out of the Philippines. Then they send it to them, they edit it, and then they send it to the authorities. That's stealth right there. Stealth monitoring. And they have a whole little department in there that watches these huge screens. They're giant screens. Well, some of them are. Some of them are smaller, and then some of them are larger. And then they edit it and send it to the authorities when they find crime. And this is mostly like through businesses, areas, bus stops and things like that. It's more kind of for business and city kind of thing, not for personal home. I was going to work for them for a while. I had been employed, but it was right during COVID, and I was doing like Grubhub and DoorDash. I think I was doing DoorDash at that time. They're all the way from Utah. It's interesting because I was introduced to theater with a play called Look Homeward Angel, Thomas Wolfe. And I've seen some sketchings of Thomas Wolfe done with like pencil and it's very strange, but he looks very similar to Henry and David Lynch's Eraserhead, and even probably acted like him. And I don't know if David Lynch knows anything about Thomas Wolfe and Look Homeward Angel, but there is a far kind of connection between the two. It's very strange. And my stepdad, he was a big David Lynch fan, but also Thomas Wolfe. And he would watch Eraserhead, and I would see Henry and his hair, his hair kind of stood up, kind of like it stood up. And Thomas Wolfe's hair did the same. And some of the photos and stuff, he had kind of crazy hair. Very strange. Now, also Thomas Wolfe talked about a world. It's one of the lines in Look Homeward Angel, you are your world. Eugene. Eugene was the brother character of Ben Gant, which is a made-up character in Look Homeward Angel, also known as O Lost. And the world is kind of imaged in your mind, like it's kind of put in your mind. Well, in the very opening of David Lynch's Eraserhead, it shows a globe spinning. And then it shows like a Thomas Wolfe-like face, which is Henry, kind of in front of the globe. It's like a connection between the two. I don't know. I think there was something they were connecting. I think it may have been a connection with the Mormon church. Because I talked to a Mormon one time a long time ago, and they said something about that when you die, you become a world, which is very strange. But it was, I don't know much about the Mormons, but I think maybe both of them had picked up a book. Like, you see those Mormon books and stuff, they're like a Mormon Bible. I don't know for sure if that's Lynch, but maybe Wolfe did, making a comment on it or something, or, finding something different to put into a story that would get someone's attention. Sometimes religious elements can seep in. I'm not like, trying to make some kind of point about the Mormon church. I'm just kind of showing a comparison between David Lynch in Eraserhead and then Thomas Wolfe, the writer, one of our greatest American writers, and in Look Homeward Angel. That it's weird how great art masterpieces have similar aspects, and this is all dealing with someone's hair. I mean, regardless, you know, of the schmear thing, whatever is on this, you know, in the long run. You have to face it. I mean, I am a blogger, whether I'm a famous blogger or not. I don't know if that matters, but I mean, I'm over 1770 on video edited vlogs, and you know, I do it practically in my sleep almost. You know, some of them I edited a little. You know, some of them I do edit it with a lot of care, and some of them I just lay it out. You know, but ultimately that's what I am. I mean, I don't know if it'll make Wikipedia or not, but not everyone does 1,770 edited vlogs, you know. I don't know. It just out of the woo would just agree. Look at this crazy nut. Goodness gracious. If he would agree, you know, just to, you know, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have to. He doesn't show special attention. You know, I don't look like, I don't know. I don't want to get into the looks of everything. But I don't know. I mean, my hat's off to him. He lived in a van for a while, you know. That's, you know, that takes, you know, Walmart was like, you know, his home kind of thing, or at least the parking lot for a while, to jumpstart, you know, his career, as he says. I don't know if Thomas Wolfe, I don't know if he actually tried to become an actor. I think he may have, or a playwright. I think it was like, he became famous, like, and once it took off, he died, kind of like the writer of Rent. It's my new Waze thing right here. That's what it looks like. Another interesting thing about Thomas Wolfe too is, it's a cool American airline plane right there, is that once they coined him as a writer, they did take care of him.
Hazard reported ahead. Not
Thank
the
you,
giant
Ryan.
flying squid again.
There goes Skylink. Alright, tree right past the dog over that way.